Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today because we have some very exciting General Hospital news to talk about, and it's definitely worth the wait. Hey there friends, grab yourself a nice warm cup of coffee or maybe a sweet tea if that's more your speed, because I got to tell you about what's got me all stirred up this week on General Hospital. Lord have mercy. I've been following this show since I was a young fellow working the late shift at the plant, and it still gets me every single time. The way they weave these family messes together, it feels just like real life, only with fancier clothes and bigger drama. The latest spoilers dropped, and I swear my old heart skipped a beat when I read about Valentin getting ready to throw down a warning that sounds colder than a January wind off the lake. Now, let me paint the picture for you the way I see it unfolding. Valentin, that smooth-talking Cassadine with the voice that could make a grown man sit up straight, is about to look somebody dead in the eye and say something along the lines of, "Don't you go poking the bear, Willow." And who do you think that warning is aimed at? None other than Willow herself, Nina's own daughter, the one who's been playing a dangerous game behind everyone's back. I tell you what, it just breaks my heart thinking about it. Here's a mama who loves her girl more than anything, and that same girl is turning around and blackmailing her own mother. Willow's been holding those awful secret injections over Nina's head, the ones that made Drew look like he had a stroke and that locked-in syndrome mess. It's ugly, plain and simple. What really gets me is how Nina's been carrying this heavy secret all by herself. She hasn't breathed a word to Valentin yet, even though the two of them have been teaming up tighter than a couple of old mules pulling the same wagon. They made a pact to protect their daughters, Charlotte and Willow both, and Nina's terrified that if the truth comes out, she'll lose her daughter and her grandbabies in one fell swoop. I know that fear. I've seen it in my own family over the years. When kids grow up and start making choices that scare you to death, you still swallow your pride and keep quiet because the love runs deeper than any anger. But secrets like this one, they don't stay buried forever. They bubble up like hot tar on a summer road. I keep imagining how Valentin might stumble onto the truth. He already knows Jack Brennan's been twisting Nina's arm, trying to squeeze information out of her about Charlotte. That clever little girl overheard things she never should have, bless her heart, and now it's all tangled up. But here's the kicker that made me chuckle and shake my head at the same time. The house where all this could go down is the very same house Valentin bought for himself, Charlotte, and Anna after that terrible fire destroyed Anna's place. He didn't even know back then that Charlotte was mixed up in the trouble that started the blaze. So picture this, Valentin still has a key, or at least he knows every nook and cranny of that house. If the locks got changed, well, I wouldn't put it past a Cassadine to find another way in. He could walk right in and catch Willow in the middle of threatening her own mama. I can just see his face going stone cold, that fancy coat of his swirling as he steps into the room. The air would get thick enough to cut with a knife. And folks, it doesn't stop there. What really worries me, and I bet it's got you leaning forward in your chair too, is that Willow isn't just hurting her mother. She might be putting Charlotte and the whole careful plan Nina and Valentin have been building right in the line of fire. Sounds like she's running straight to Brennan, using whatever pull she's got in Congress, and offering him her own little side deal. If she messes up the trap they've been setting, everything could blow up in their faces. I've lived long enough to know that when family turns on family, the fallout lands on everybody. It reminds me of something my grandpappy used to say down on the farm. Blood's thicker than water, but sometimes the ones closest to you carry the sharpest knife. Ain't that the truth? You know, watching all this play out makes me think about how much we all have in common with these characters, even if our lives are quieter. Nina's stuck between a rock and a hard place, loving her daughter, but watching her make choices that could tear everything apart. Valentin's the kind of man who looks calm on the outside, but turns into a lion when his family's threatened. I can't wait to see how he delivers that warning. Something tells me it'll be one of those quiet, chilling moments that sticks with you long after the credits roll. Maybe even has you talking about it at the next church potluck or over the phone with your sister. I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting here in my recliner, remote in hand, counting down the days until this episode airs. General Hospital has a way of making these wild stories feel so real, like they could happen right down the street in our own neighborhoods. It reminds me why I've kept coming back all these years, the laughs, the tears, the shocks that make you gasp out loud. Willow's playing with fire, and Valentin's the one holding the match. I just hope Nina finds the strength to speak up before it's too late. Anyway, that's what's got my mind spinning this week, friends. I'll be right here watching every minute of it, and I'd love to hear what you think when you catch the episode too. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, hug your loved ones a little tighter, and keep those remotes handy. You never know what twist is coming next on General Hospital. I'll catch you again real soon. Stay tuned. Let me tell you straight up, Valentin doesn't want any trouble with Willow. Not one bit. Deep down, that man knows exactly how much Nina has ached for a daughter. He understands that hunger in a mama's heart better than most, even if he's made some pretty big mistakes himself in the past. Remember when Sasha first showed up in town? Lord, that was something. Valentin paid her to pretend she was Nina's long-lost daughter just to give Nina a little piece of happiness. He went to extremes, sure, but his heart was in the right place back then. So now, with Willow, he's walking on eggshells. He hates the idea of having to do anything that might hurt Nina's girl. But the way things are shaping up, it looks like Willow might just bring the storm down on herself. Here's what's really got me fired up. While Valentin and Nina have been working shoulder to shoulder, cooking up a careful trap for Jack Brennan, it seems Willow and Jack might be setting their own trap right back at them. Can you believe that? The very people they're trying to catch could be one step ahead. I tell you what, this show sure knows how to make your stomach do flips. I can already picture the scene clear as day. Valentin and Nina turn a corner somewhere in town, and there they are, Willow standing right next to Jack, looking smug as a cat that just swallowed the canary. That self-satisfied little smile on Willow's face must have lit a fire under Valentin. He's not the type to yell and scream. No, sir. Instead, his voice gets real low and cold, the kind that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. He looks her dead in the eye and says something like, "Don't you go poking the bear, Willow." Just like that, a warning that carries weight. Not because he wants to hurt her, but because he sees the danger she's walking straight into. What really tugs at my heart is how much Valentin gets Nina's feelings. He knows she'd move heaven and earth for her daughter, even when that daughter is blackmailing her and making deals behind her back. Nina's been keeping quiet about those awful injections Willow gave Drew, the ones that faked his stroke and that locked-in syndrome nightmare. She's terrified of losing Willow and the grandbabies. But secrets have a way of coming out, especially when you're dealing with folks as sharp as Valentin and as slippery as Jack Brennan. And poor Charlotte's caught up in all this too. That sweet girl already overheard things she shouldn't have, and now Willow's actions could put her in real danger. It just goes to show you when one person starts playing games with people's lives, everybody ends up paying the price. I keep thinking about my grandpappy's old saying, "The road to trouble is paved with good intentions. And sometimes with blackmail and backstabbing too." Ain't that the truth in Port Charles these days? I'll be honest with you, I feel for all of them. Nina's stuck in the middle, loving her daughter, but watching her make choices that could destroy everything. Valentin's trying to protect the people he cares about without stepping on the one person Nina loves most. And Willow, well, she's playing with fire, thinking she's clever enough to outsmart everyone. But I've lived long enough to know that pride and smugness usually come before a hard fall. I'm sitting here counting the hours until this episode airs. General Hospital keeps doing what it does best, showing us that family is complicated, love is messy, and sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you the most. But that's also what makes it feel so real. These aren't just characters on a screen. They're folks dealing with the same kind of heartaches and hopes we all understand.